So here is an interesting spot on the property. This is really cool. So the county, our property actually has two creeks that converge, and then it's right about where my finger's at in that area over there. These two creeks converge, and according to the drain commissioner, since they put this drain in the late 1800s, it's never been touched, and water levels are of course increasing. So we didn't file a complaint, so to speak, but I called the drain commissioner over the winter and I wanted him to come out and look at it and see what there could be, what could be done about it, because we pay our taxes for them to maintain this stuff. And since we're at the very north, right about up at the northeastern part of the county, he said it's just one of those things where, at least in his 12 years that he's been the commissioner, he's actually never come out this far. So he was glad that we called, and he's come out a couple of times and noticed just how bad it was. And so here we are in August, almost actually I think it is mid-August now, and they are finally cleaning out the creek. And it's pretty cool, actually. It's neat to see this. Now, I've got my waders on, and I could actually stand in the middle of this, which is neat, because before, at least 20 feet that way and 20 feet this way, you couldn't hardly stand in at all. You'd sink. It was all wet. It was terrible. So now you can see there's a nice water flow. This is where they've stopped. They still have a couple more days to go, but you can see how fast that water is moving. There's a lot of water coming in through there. And the main problem is that we have two creeks that are this size that are converging into one spot, one collection spot, and then it has one outlet, and this is the outlet. And the main issue is that it's been so blocked, it hasn't been able to, the water hasn't been able to exit. So what they're doing here is they're actually obviously cleaning it out and going to the approximate original depth of the creek, of the drain, that is. And that's what they're doing here. And it's so cool to see this. We were reluctant on calling them because a lot of our property over on that side is flooded almost all year round. And it originally wasn't that way. There's areas that were developed, that were pasture, that are completely flooded. You can see T-posts and wood posts everywhere. And a big contributor to that, the reason it's flooded, is because it can't get out. So whenever we get rain, whenever we get the spring thaw and things like that, it has nowhere to go. So it just stands. It just stays where it's at and just keeps on collecting. And even when we had the biggest dry that we've had in a decade, even then, I was getting stuck in pasture, what was originally pasture, with the quad. It was so muddy and mucky and deep and watery and so on that I was getting stuck with the quad. That's not the way that it's supposed to be. Where the creek actually is, and they've got it all on the maps and stuff like that, it should not be flooding over. I mean, you're going to get a little bit, especially during the spring thaw, but nothing like what we were seeing. So a lot of our property was basically, or is right now, until they have this completely cleaned out, unusable. And that's not the way that it was. Obviously, the creek is going to roll through, and that's unusable property. This is actually owned by the county, and they do have a right-of-way to it, and I understand that completely. But we had a lot of property back over on the 20 acres that's on our west side that we could use for pasture, but because it was so flooded all the time, it was basically unusable. So, and you can see here all of the trees that have died as a result of this. These are the trees that are surrounding the creek that were living, and obviously you can see they're tall. They were living. A lot of them are now starting to fall over because they're dead. They're dying off. And so hopefully when he's done clearing all of this stuff out, we'll be able to use a good portion of this. Not all of it, but a good portion of it. We'll be able to reclaim a lot of the property, and we'll be able to use it for pasture as we plan. We're also planning on putting a fence it's going to be a 20-acre long fence. I know it's going to be long, but it's going to be 20 acres from the road to the end of the property, on the south end of the property. We got the south, let's see, it would be the southwest corner. We got that surveyed, so we have a spot where that's at. We know approximately where the spot is here, but now that they're cleaning this out, we can actually run a line without being in this crap here. So it's going to be nice. But I mean, you can see how much water is coming through here, and this is all backed up. This is what it originally looked like right there. And it's wet all the way. Let me zoom out a little bit here. It's wet all the way up here into this area right here, and up as far as where that tree fell over. It's all wet, all of that. And it is most of the year. So with them cleaning this out, it should drain out as it's supposed to naturally and continue on. And it's moving pretty fast. You can see it's moving pretty fast. It's pretty neat to see this. I mean, it really is. I'm actually having some fun out here now. Of course, I can't drive a quad across this or anything else like that, but I can actually stand in the middle of it and actually feel the original hard sediment that's at the bottom. There's rocks and so on that are down there. So it's pretty cool to see that. I honestly don't know how. I mean, I'm sure the guy's been doing this for 30 years, so he knows approximately how far to dig, how deep to dig. But cool nonetheless. Danielle's supposed to be walking around. We don't have waders for her, and I just walked across the creek, so they should be heading this way pretty soon. You know, it should see them on the other side here. They're going to come at it from the other side. This is our property line. When the creek starts to make a left, that's when the line ends. So right about that point right there, when the property starts to make a left, that's when the line ends. So this is our side, not too far into our side, but it is our side. And yeah, I originally, like I said, I was all worried that they were just gonna come in here and just tear everything up and just make it look like crap. But no, they're actually doing a good job. They're cleaning everything up. They're very minimalist about it. I'm very impressed and very happy that they're doing what they're doing. So we're glad, and we're looking forward to next year when this is all going to drain out, when it's all going to dry out, and we'll be able to use some of it. And I was asking him, you know, he said it's still a pretty wet area even when this is going to be completely cleaned out. So he's still going to come by every 5 to 7 years, and he's going to have somebody clean it out some more, get some of that sediment out of there, make sure there's nothing major falling in. But he said it looks like it's never been done. In the 120 years it's been here, it's never been done. Nothing's ever been done to it. It's just been here. So he's pretty happy that he's coming in here and taking care of it. That's his job, and he's doing a pretty good job. So they contract out, obviously, a different company to do it. You know, the drain commissioner doesn't come out here in a long reach like this. And well, it's not a long reach technically, but he can get pretty far down in there. So I'm pretty happy about that. So at any rate, this is pretty neat to see. It really is. I like this perspective of actually seeing the progress. This is something, you know, you won't see every day, obviously. And man, there's frogs and toads everywhere. I don't know what the difference between a frog and a toad, but there's definitely frogs and so on everywhere. They're cutting trees up, or that has been cut down at one time. I don't know. I don't have any idea. But pretty cool. So this is as far as they've made it. And like I said, you can see just how bad it is. I mean, it's really bad. This is all wet, all of it, every bit of it. So unless you hit a tree like I just did, a fallen tree, which I'm standing on right now, this is all wet. So it'll be nice when this is able to drain out, and we'll be able to use this. We've never used it, but we do know that the previous landowner did use it. See some of these trees those are good trees. They're not even in the ground. They're not rotting. So they just fell over and they're still standing on their stump. So this is all good wood that I can cut up. So, you know, in a month or so, I'll be back here cutting all this up. It'll be exciting. Look at the size of that tree. It's huge. Very usable wood. So at any rate, I'll see if I can meet them up here. It is dry up here in this area. Man, there's frogs and toads. Frogs or toads. Oh, this is all wet right here. Frogs or toads everywhere. Yeah, they won't be able to get too far. But this is the problem. This is the big problem, is that this wasn't able to drain out. So here I'm probably, I don't know, 30 feet from the creek, and this is all standing water. So whatever, it is what it is. We're getting it taken care of. I'm looking forward to it. Try not to step on all these frogs. I mean, look at that. It's still wet right up there. I don't know how far she's going to be able to come down here because it's still really wet. But cool nonetheless. This is all our property. And it'd be nice to be able to use it again. Anyway, just thought I'd share a video. Pretty cool. Pretty neat to see. Neat to see the progress and what all they're doing. Pretty neat. Yeah, I can hear them over there now. So, cool. I'll let you guys go. Take care.